For anyone who is joining us today. My name is Carl Hughes, as you know, and this is the weekly Tech Hangout. Today we've got Kim Beasley on the line.
Hi, y'all. Woo! Excited to be here.
Kim is always one of the most fun people to hang out with, and so I'm excited to talk to her for a while. We kind of know each other through Google Plus Hangouts, but hopefully I'll be getting to know a lot more about her today in this conversation. So we're really going to be focusing on social media, but before we get started on that, I kind of wanted to ask you a few kind of introductory questions just about yourself so we can all get to know who you are. So give me a short summary of where you're at now and where you've kind of been in your career.
I have no idea where I'm at, and I don't know where I'm going in my career. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I
love that answer.
Where am I in my career? I am actually at a point where my career has taken off into a direction that is not only growing me as a person, it's also grooming my business to explode in 2012.
Well, good. That sounds very positive, and I know you're a very positive person, so I'm not surprised. So you studied human resources and then got your MBA at Phoenix. And I know that my mom is probably a little older than you, but she went back to get her MBA, or not her MBA, I'm sorry, her master's in teaching when I was in about 5th or 6th grade, and that was really tough for her going back to school. How was it for you, from working, somewhere and then having to go back into taking classes, even though, they're online, it's still a lot of work?
Oh gosh, it was extremely hard because I actually had 4 years of computer science and decided to quit. Literally, I had maybe about a semester and a half left, and I said, computers is not for me. I'm switching. So I went to corporate America for 10 years and worked, and where did I end up? In computers.
Of course.
So I got a bachelor's in organizational development, which allowed me to work with technology and people and manage them. And then I got a MBA in e-business, which actually allowed me to go to the next level of helping people develop their own business online.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, tell me about what an e-business program means exactly. I mean, you obviously are a computer person, but what does that mean to people who maybe aren't and don't quite get that term?
Well, way back when I was in school in like the early 2000s, to have a business that you operated online was kind of unheard of, and people thought you were a little bit crazy to say, I'm working from home. Mm-hmm. And I had many people say, you need to get a real job. And yet I was making more than them. And the funny thing is that with e-business, it's just basically electronic business where you're doing business online. And the degree program not only taught me the basics of developing a business using my MBA knowledge, but it also gave me the real world skill where my last class, I had to develop an actual plan for business. Mm-hmm. And then I had to implement some of it to test it to make sure it would work. And actually it was the business plan for my own business. So it was a really great experience for me.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, especially that you actually used it for something you're now doing more or less, So you live now in St. Louis, but I don't know where you're from originally. So are you from St. Louis, or have you moved around?
Well, you can't really hear my Arkansan accent because I have a tendency to hide it, because most people have a hard time understanding me when I talk my Arkansan accent because I slur my words. So I'm from Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, and yes, I did clean up my little bit of southern accent so that you can understand me better.
Be proud of it, Kim. It's okay.
I am very proud of it, but, it's so funny. I developed a habit of enunciating because people could not understand what I was saying when I slurred my words, and occasionally I might slip back into that Arkansan accent, but Yeah, I have a tendency to enunciate so you can understand me.
It's probably a good thing to pick up. I know I've kind of had to hide my southern accent at times, so I understand. So on Google Plus, you say that you like cooking, and I love cooking, so I have to ask you about cooking for just a minute, and we'll try not to get sidetracked for too long because I know that our audience members may not care to hear about us talk about cooking. What do you love cooking the most, and how long have you been doing it?
Woo! I've been doing it since I was knee-high to a frog. I grew up cooking at my mama's knee, and I love to cook soul food. I love to cook Cajun and Southern, but my favorite all-time is Cajun. You know, with a little bit of spice. You know, I cook some etouffee and some jambalaya, and you know, just and some gumbo.
I love spicy foods. It's my favorite thing to cook and eat both, so I'm with you there. I actually don't do as much Cajun, more kind of ethnic stuff, but either way, it's delicious anyway. So, so did you ever think about going into like cooking or the restaurant business professionally? Was that ever a thought?
Yes, actually, I used to do a cooking show with a couple of other women where we had an on-air cooking show, and people would cook a meal, and we would have conversations and discussions. No longer part of that, but I do love to cook, and I actually am planning on having a cooking show as part of my network that I've started up. It hasn't evolved yet because it's still in the works.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting. If you do have a cooking show, I want to be on there sometime to cook something, because I love doing it, or at least to watch. Let me watch and taste.
Well, you have a seat in my cooking show for sure.
Yes. The Food Network is almost the only thing I watch besides the news if I ever watch TV, which is rare. So.
So, are you a hidden foodie?
I am a hidden food. The other day, my influential things on Clout, food just popped up, and I was so happy. I was like, yes, it's finally coming. But
okay,
anyway.
I have to ask you. I need to know. What is your favorite show?
On the cooking channel, or just anywhere?
On the cooking show.
Oh, I love Chopped. I'm really, lately, just because they get so creative with the like limited and the strange ingredients that they get. Like for me, what I identify with it is I have a pantry full of stuff that I bought once and almost never used, and I'm like, how can I use that? So I like kind of use my my knowledge of Chopped and how they use their ingredients strangely to incorporate stuff that's unusual into different recipes.
Okay, you want to know my favorite?
Yes, I do.
It's a guilty pleasure. I'm almost ashamed to say it.
Ashamed to say this.
Okay, diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Oh, yeah. The guy what is his name?
Fieri.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I think it's just him and his personality. I love that show.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to go out and eat all that food because I can't. I just get, but it's just, he just brings that show to life and makes you want to run out and try those things. So that's my guilty pleasure.
No, that's a good one. I mean, I like his other show too, but we'll try to get back on track here, because I knew we'd both love to talk about cooking. We'll come back to that sometime. So to move on to kind of what we're really talking about today with social media and Google Plus, you've kind of been one of the first real big early adapter power users on Google Plus. At least that's what I would call you. You were one of the very first people I added to my circles, and have been very consistently on here. So you I guess like you help businesses kind of handle this transition into Google Plus. And a lot of people are still, a lot of social media consultants are still kind of letting it ride. They're waiting it out. They're saying, well, there's not enough users on Google Plus for it to be effective. What do you say to that when people tell you that kind of thing?
You're missing out. There are people I have been trying to get on here for a long time, and You know, I've been told different things that it's just like Twitter, it's just like Facebook. What's so different about it? And social media experts, people who call themselves social media experts, are missing out on a great opportunity to not only help their businesses brand themselves, but it also affects search engine rankings now with the way that Google has integrated Google Plus results into the search engine results. So what are they missing? They're missing out on a vital piece to having success in social media.
So, you know, kind of with that, do you still use the other social networks a lot yourself?
Oh yes, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. Yes, I'm on a number of social media websites, but yes, I still use them every day.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, it's almost, I guess what some people find is hard is that they've got a new tool that they have to learn how to use and then start using it effectively and regularly. You know, has there been anything that you've kind of told people that would help them make that transition into Google Plus?
Yes, I actually have a membership website, and I also have e-course that people can actually go through. The e-course will help them learn the basics of Google Plus in 5 days. And I tell them, you know, first of all, when you sign up, it gives you the opportunity to add your profile picture. Add it. It gives you the opportunity to add information about yourself. Answer the 5 W's: who, what, why, when, and how. Yeah. You know what? I forgot one. I put 6 in. 6. Answer those questions. Feel free to be personable in your profile. Connect with people. Comment. Don't just push information out. Connect, engage, and build relationships. That's right. About it.
And you know, the thing is, all that takes time. And so what do you know, for a lot of clients, they are maybe, if they're maybe small or mid-sized business owners, they might not have a person dedicated to social media. You know, what do you kind of encourage them to do? Because I think that's the biggest problem I see when I talk to people about it is they just don't have time, or they don't, you know, want to devote time to it.
Well, basically, it's simple. Make sure that you have your profile set up, and then they can spend a few minutes a day, maybe an hour a day, if not that much, at least 30 minutes a day, where they get on Google Plus and they can check out what others are sharing publicly and comment, like, reshare, get in the stream of people who are industry experts in their niche and in other niches. Because when you start getting in their streams, people start seeing you, they want to connect with you. And the most important thing, Hangouts.
Well, good, because that's what I was going to talk about next. So I saw, and this is not necessarily the Google Plus Hangout, but I saw on somewhere that you got to attend a real-life Hangout with Sarah Hill, who is probably the best-known hanger-outer on Google Plus, I would venture to say. She is for those of you who may not know, she's a journalist. She works at, and I can't remember the TV station. Do you know?
KOMU.
Okay, so she works at KOMU, and she basically has really taken advantage of Google Plus. And if you don't know her, look her up. Her name's Sarah Hill. She'll be the first thing on Google Plus that you see. But anyway, so the point of my question, getting back to that, was what advice, you know, do you give to journalists, especially, and news producers who are thinking about how they can use Google Plus?
You know, it's interesting you asked me that question because I actually contacted several of the local news stations here, and I let them know who I was. I sent them links to videos with Sarah and what I'm doing with her, and I have not heard back from them, and that saddened me because this is an instant way for journalists to have on-the-spot journalists without having to send out a truck, without having to expense flying people anywhere. You have people who are locally who have the talent to report the news. They can go out and report it. It's a really great way to bring the world into the newscast, to make it live. One of the things that Sarah has really gotten into is connecting with people that she didn't even know from around the world. And she does that daily on a 3:30 Hangout where she opens it up to the public just so she can find new people that she can connect with during her live Hangouts, during her newscast.
Yeah, and I wonder, at least here in Knoxville, I know that Google Plus still isn't big enough that any news company would probably ignore ignore it if I told them the same thing. But I do think that they're missing out big time on connecting with real people, like that. So I think that's a really good point. That same principle, though, does that also apply to businesses? I mean, obviously, it's pretty similar, right? If I can get a business hangout and talk with customers in real time, that's a pretty big deal, right?
It is. One of the first things I tell people, if you're going to brand you and your business, you need to, first of all, have a personal profile and a business page. And then, secondly, when you go in Hangouts, don't hard sell. If you go into a Hangout and you're like always talking about your business and boom, boom, people are going to get tired of it. You ask others, what are you doing? Engage. Okay, you've connected with them when you go in the Hangout. Engage with them. Ask them, okay, what do you do? Where do you live? Find out more about them. Yeah. Then you can start building a relationship. And you never know. They may become your warm market where they will refer you to other people. And that's what happened with me. Yeah. I have received a lot of referrals. I don't go into a Hangout and say, hey, I'm social media queen, or I'm social media expert. That can get tiring.
Oh, yeah.
I go in just to connect and hang out.
Well, it's like if you walked into a room full of people you didn't know and said, hi, I'm Kim Beasley, I'm the social media queen, I'm the social media queen. Yeah, no one would invite you to parties anymore.
No. It's about connecting, engaging, and building relationships. The CER method is what I've been teaching businesses who want to get on to G+.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think, do you think that Google had that in mind as they were building this platform? Because it seems to be built for that, for engaging with new people more than any other platform I've really seen before, much better than Twitter or Facebook.
I think Google had in mind that they wanted to give their target audience more than just a way to push information out. They wanted to give us a way to connect and to build relationships. That's why they came out, I feel, with the circles. Because if you look at the logo for the circles, they're intertwined. And you have one kind of sitting out there, but you have two that are intertwined. And that's what it's about, building relationships and connecting with people and bringing in people from the outside. Some people have gotten on Google Plus and left the other social media networks. I do not knock them for that. That's a personal choice. I personally believe that we need to bring people from the outside in. So that's why I'm still active on the other social networks. And I share links to my posts that I create on Google Plus, on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and I bring people in. Yeah. And that's what it's about, bringing people in and connecting people.
Yeah, and I think that's funny because what I've been doing now, I've pretty much stopped using Twitter unless somebody messages me and then I reply, which, for better or for worse, it's just I get a lot more engagement on Google Plus, so I post here more, and I'll post links out on Twitter, and those get a pretty good engagement rate even, which is funny, but I think it is showing that people are clicking through and reading on Google+, and even if they're going to respond on Twitter, whatever they want to do, I guess that's fine, but it's funny. So about Hangouts, in continuing that, who are some really, do you have a list of people that you just absolutely love joining their Hangouts or watching them when you get a chance? Besides my weekly Hangout, of course.
Oh, see, you're going to make me get in trouble.
Oh, okay.
I'll name a few. I'll name a few.
Name one or two.
Okay, I love hanging out with Macalo Medina, who is a newscaster out of L.A., and he's with the NBC network there. And then I love hanging out with Tashaka Armstrong, who is another newscaster in L.A., and he's with the Fox network. Coach Seal, who just started an online dating show on my network. Gosh. Oh
I know
gosh.
You're going to forget people. It's okay.
Chris Perillo. I love Chris. Is so unpredictable and so exciting. You never know what he's going to say, but it's always funny and he's always educational. You know, regardless of all the crazy stuff he does, he always teaches you something. So I love hanging out with Chris.
Well, and I think that's something I've noticed about the Google Plus community, or at least the people I've circled, is that, yeah, they have fun, but there's also a lot of really informative things on here, as opposed to my Facebook stream, which I could say is probably a little less intellectually stimulating. We'll put it that way. You know, have you found that too, or is this just to me?
Okay, do I have to admit it on air? No, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. I have found that Google Plus is more responsive to the same posts that I will put on other networks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's because I'm more active on Google Plus, but it's always been like that. When I put something on Facebook or when I put something on Twitter or LinkedIn, it's there's like a slow response rate. But when I put something out on Google Plus, it's like boom, 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 boom.
Mm-hmm.
Right away, people are liking, commenting, sharing, you know, and I love that about Google Plus.
Yeah, no, I think so. And, you know, back to the Hangouts again, if you're a person or a business doing a Hangout, I mean, there are things, I mean, you have to realize this, if you post a public Hangout, there are slight risks involved. Now, I haven't had any real trouble like some people have told me about before, but I've stopped posting as many public Hangouts because it sort of gets messy. Is there anything you'd warn against, you know, when doing a Hangout?
Of course, of course. Always be aware, and I'm glad you brought up public Hangouts. It's occasionally it's okay to have those because you want to meet new people.
Mm-hmm.
Just understand that when you open it up to the public, that you could get people coming in their birthday suits, or you could get people coming in loud, obnoxious, and at the same time you can meet some really great people. Hey.
Hey, you still there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't know what happened.
I don't either.
I just got my internet just completely died, and I have no idea why. So I apologize for that.
And we're back on air.
We are back on air. We'll just roll with the punches and keep going. You know, technology is a wonderful thing. The 90% of the time it works, and the rest of the time it just, you know, makes you want to scream a little. So anyway, we'll kind of move on because I was going to ask you now more about some other social networks.
Well, wait, hold on.
You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Are we? Do you know if we're broadcasting or not?
That's what I'm looking at.
Okay. If we aren't.
Okay, we're broadcasting.
Okay. Okay, cool. I think we're good. Yeah. My internet in my apartment it dies randomly on me, and it's usually good this time of day, but apparently it decided to act up. So anyway, to kind of move on to other social networks. You know, you are obviously familiar, and you use all the other social networks in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people though are kind of speculating that Google Plus may or may not be a Facebook killer or a Twitter killer or whatever. Do you think that that's true in the future, in a few years? Or do you think that Twitter and Facebook are likely to still be around?
Let's look at it this way. It took Google 7 months to get to where Facebook and Twitter took 7 years.
Yeah.
That speaks loudly right there.
Right.
Because one of the things you have to think about is that Google has a lot of plans in place to make this social network a success. They've learned from their mistakes, and they've moved on from that, and that's really great. They don't continue kicking a dead horse, basically. Whereas we see, some of the other networks, I'm not going to name, who continue kicking a dead horse, or they try to redress it just to compete with Google Plus, and it just does not work.
Yeah.
And so where will things be in the future? I can see Google Plus being on the top of the heap, and everybody following their lead.
Yeah. And I mean, I've said this before in Hangouts, and I kind of stand by this. The big advantage Google has, Facebook's going to go public, and they are going to need to make some serious profit, because right now they're not doing it. Google doesn't have to make money directly off Google Plus anytime in the near future. It's Google. They've got plenty of streams of revenue, and that's a big advantage I think that's going to play into this, but just my opinion on it. So, along with that, what do you think about the Facebook IPO? Are you going to be buying stock, or do you have?
Nope. Nope. And the main reason why is because when I buy stock, I like to buy stock in a product that I believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Enough said.
Yeah.
No, let me back up.
Yeah.
I believe in Facebook for what it brings to the table. Will I invest in them? No, because to me it's not stable stock.
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong, but just from history and looking at what they've done in the past and how they ticked off a lot of people and how things have just kind of been run down in the ground,
right,
and how it's really not, users don't know what's going to happen from day to day. Users can't find things that get changed overnight with no notice.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have a business that is consistent with its customers, then you have to have some stability so that when they come into your business, that they can find things they're familiar with. If you keep changing on them like Facebook is doing, then they're going to lose a lot more customers just because people are going to get so upset with not being able to find things that they're just going to go, forget it, I'm going to go somewhere else. And where's that somewhere else? Google Plus.
Well, it's true, and Google makes it easy to switch, right? You've got a Gmail. Almost everybody's got a Gmail account. At least a lot of people do these days. And then Android phones too is another thing they've been kind of pushing Google Plus onto. So yeah, I think you're right there. So as a developer, I'm kind of a hobbyist web developer, but I also make money from it. But I always like to ask people who are, I know you're into computers. I don't know if you do any web development now.
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. So you do it too. So what project are we going to collaborate on next, Kim? Or what are you, what is a social tool that you would love to see come about, and that we don't really have to make it?
Pinterest.
That's actually, it's funny. I didn't put any Pinterest questions on this, but I really should have because I love it. So
I would love to see a marriage between Pinterest and Google Plus.
Mm-hmm.
That would be just like perfect because people love sharing pictures.
Yeah.
So I would say Pinterest is the next big thing. You just, as a business owner, would need to learn how to use it best for your business. And that's the big thing about Pinterest.
Right. Yeah, and I'm still playing around with it a lot. I see how it's kind of cool to use, but I haven't figured out a good way to use it like as a professional building tool or as a way for a business to communicate things. Not in every business. Some businesses are doing really well at it, but I guess it varies. So I also want to, kind of as the last section of stuff that I really have written down, talk to you about becoming an entrepreneur, because that's something that I have a strong bent towards, and so I wanted to hear your story in a way. You've been self-employed, I think, for over 10 years. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, 1999, 10. Yeah. Yes, over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
Ooh.
So, tell me about why you started off in your own business. Was it just did you get fired? Was it convenience? Was it?
No, I was actually in corporate America, and I worked as an employee, and then I caught the consultant, bug, and left my full-time 5-year tenure job at a major telecommunication company as a project manager, and went out on my own as a consultant and started making a lot more money. And then things just went a little bit crazy around 9/11, and I ended up still working, but I wasn't making as much money, and that kind of got me thinking, why should I depend on corporate America to tell me what I'm worth?
Yeah.
So even though I was still working in corporate America, I started my own business, and in 2005 I went full-time. So I was doing my business part-time, and I went full-time in 2005. Can you imagine? I was working 2 jobs full-time at the same time, basically. And then finally, 2005, I said, okay, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I just got to step out there and do it. So
Yeah.
2005, I incorporated, and I haven't looked back. I still consult with major corporations and organizations to help them streamline their online presence using social media and their website. So I still have that going, but I do it just through my own business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's interesting, the thing, you refer to as corporate America, and us people, and then when I say us people, I mean entrepreneurs, we tend to kind of have this, like, it's not a negative view, but it's a frustrated view, I think is the best way to say it, because we were there. I mean, was it frustrating? Was that part of your motivation for getting into small business?
Yes, because of the politics and the games and the long hours and the disrespect, because the industry I was in was IT.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a female. I'm a black female.
Right.
And this is, not to be racial or anything, because I don't go down that road.
Right.
It's a reality.
Oh yeah.
I actually had a man tell me when I was working at a major Fortune 100 company that I should be barefoot and pregnant at home, just like his wife. And this was in 2001 that I was told that.
It's amazing because I've seen that kind of thing. I think in the last Hangout we were in, I talked about with a couple young women who are in technology, and they were telling me about how it happens all the time that people say, oh, it's just that girl, or whatever, when referring to them and not taking them seriously in the corporate world. And I've seen it too myself firsthand, and I think I'm amazed that it happens the way it does. But there's something to be said for getting out while you can,
And I got out while I could, and I love the fact that I got out because I am my own person, and I have been able to really express myself as a business owner and to help other business owners find their voice online. So I really love what I do.
And so, you talked a little, kind of touch on it, but what really big struggles have you had that you've had to kind of learn for yourself when starting out on your own, as a consultant as opposed to an actual employee?
Woo! Where do I start?
Right. Let's start the list.
You have to have a plan, as the old saying goes. Those without a plan those who fail to make a plan to fail.
Yeah.
And that's my version of it. Basically, I learned early on I had to have a plan. And not only that, I needed to make sure I was managing my finances. I needed to make sure I had agreements in place. Whew. Not only with customers, but agreements with contractors.
Right.
I learned some really hard lessons. I had a VA once who I had working for me, and she was working at a really great, fee, and I was really loving her, and I was teaching her a lot of things, and I introduced her to someone and to a customer, and when I and the customer parted ways, she went with the customer. I didn't have an agreement in place.
Yeah, yeah.
So she took all that knowledge I taught her
Right.
and went to work for the customer.
Right.
And so I learned to have a non-compete and a non-disclosure in place because I had another VA who decided she wanted to tell the whole world all the stuff she was doing for me without asking me my permission. She put it on her website. And I'm going, no, can you take that down, please?
Right.
If you did not get my permission ahead of time, just putting it on there, that's not a good thing. And so those are some of the things, really simple things that you can put in place when you're developing your business online. And the last thing I would have to say about business owners, especially if you have someone coming in as an employee or a contractor, have a social media policy.
Okay.
What's appropriate and what's not appropriate. It's very important. If you don't tell them what they can and cannot do on social media, then
Right.
You're going to have a problem if they do something you don't want them to do.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a good point. And I think that a lot of people who are entrepreneurial like to just get out and start doing things, which is good. But you also need to sometimes step back and say, okay, where am I going? And what am I going to do if this happens? Be a little cautious.
Yes.
So you mentioned that there's this kind of friction in corporate America at times for women in technology. Have you seen as much of that as a small business owner, or are there times when you think you've been discriminated against because you are in a minority group as a small business owner? Does that actually? Have you seen that firsthand? Does it happen to you?
Unfortunately, yes. I actually moved, this is the right before I started my own business. I moved to Atlanta and to help someone get a charter school started. And basically, in a private meeting, she was told that it would never happen, that her charter school would not take off. And they said, and if you try to say we said this, you have nothing to prove it. And so, yes, I've witnessed it as a small business owner. And so when I saw that happen, I said, no more will anybody dictate what I can and cannot do in my business. I'm starting my business. So that was like 2004 when it happened. So 2005. And when I say start my business, I mean I decided to go full time in my business.
Right.
And then there are times when that are really great for a small business owner, where you can really connect with people. And having a smaller size business, that means you don't have as many accountability things you have to deal with as like a corporation. Mm-hmm. So you can make decisions quickly. You can get in and get things done quickly if you have things planned and in place to do that.
Yeah, and that's a good point. So the other thing that I was going to kind of talk about on that is, did you have a mentor when you were starting out, or did you have a kind of a more experienced small business owner that you talked to, or a few of them? We tend to network because I know we're both networkers and that we like to meet people. So I'm sure you did, but was there any advice or any specific people that kind of reached out to you to help you?
Mm-hmm. One of the first people one of the first mentors I can say that I had, he continues to be my mentor and has taught me a lot, and that's Alex Mendozian. He's the first one that I really trusted. You know, so I learned a lot from him, and then there have been others like Chris Perillo. I just recently connected with him and started learning from him. I would say that I have some personal mentors too. Mm-hmm. I have personal and business mentors because I found when you have mentors in both areas that well, not just those two areas, but I have other mentors too. But when you have a mentor in all the key areas, that you keep a balanced life. Mm-hmm. Because not every mentor can see every picture of your life. And so I have some that are just personal mentors, and I have had one personal mentor with me since about 10 years. And she is really awesome. Her name is Pat. And she's not a real online technical person like that, but she is a tech head because I have her addicted to the same phone that I have.
And which phone is that?
HTC.
Okay.
You know. Right. So I did get her addicted to technology. I apologize to her all the time, but she'll come over sometime to my house and we'll talk tech. We'll pull out our phones and we're playing with them. Oh, do you have this app? No, do you have this app? Literally. And so I think to keep yourself well-rounded, you need to have mentors who can help you see the blind spots in your business and in your life.
So have you, I think we both definitely see the value in having a mentor. Have you gotten a chance to be one for anybody yet? Do you have kind of some people you're bringing up? I know I've seen you at some Hangouts with some, some young girls watching Twilight. Are you a mentor to
anyone? Oh gosh, okay. That's Sarah. No, back in November, Sarah had a big event at her home where she invited 200 and some people, yes, to her home, and all at once. And we had a mock wedding between the two main characters, Belle and Edward, and we had some guys there who would dress like the wolves. They had on blue jean shorts, no shirts, and this was in November. And so we acted out the whole thing, and then we went to see the release of the latest Twilight movie. And so, yes, I was hanging out with the teenagers, and there were a lot more adults than you would think.
There's it's other guilty pleasures, I guess, but,
Yes. You just mentioned Twilight to Sarah Hill, and her eyes would get big. Twilight, she actually owns the cardboard statues of Edward and Bella and Jacob. All three of them. Yes, she does.
No, are you going to get yourself in trouble talking about Sarah Hill on my Hangout?
I don't think so, because she has pictures of her with Edward.
Okay, we're good then. That's funny. But no, I mean, have you gotten a chance to kind of talk to any younger business owners who are kind of starting out or just thinking about it? Do you get to do that much? And is that something you enjoy doing?
Oh, I love it. As a matter of fact, I am actually one of the volunteers at my church with the youth in helping them, steer them in the right path and all like that. And I love talking to young entrepreneurs because they're so full of life, and they're full of all these really great ideas, and just helping them harness that energy and helping them direct it in the right way. There's one young man still in high school, and he has a major influence in the news industry. And he's on Google+, and I'm constantly, picking his ear and talking to him, and because he's very intelligent, he has a bright future. And the biggest thing that I can see for him is making a decision where he's going to end up when he goes to college.
Yeah.
Because, and his name is Trey McGuire. In case you guys don't know him, circle him, get to know him. Trey is really an awesome, intelligent young man who I see will definitely have a bright future.
Well, cool. That's I think it's a common thing I've seen with entrepreneurs. They like to give a piece of themselves back, because I know they've gotten something from someone else before. I think it's a really cool thing and a very unique trait to our mindset, maybe. So I guess that's all the questions I have officially. You put up one question in the group chat that we can talk about, and then I think we have some comments coming in that we may want to see about.
I have some on my stream, and you probably have some on your stream.
I know. Are there? A lot of these are just kind of commenting on what we're talking about. Have you seen any good questions you want to kind of address? Or
Sure. We have one from Aaron. And Aaron, please forgive me if I kill your last name, Kirkendall. He said, I think some people, when they first get on Google Plus, feel overwhelmed. The young can tell it like it is. When my son first got on, his first comment was, too much stuff to keep track of. Do you think there's a sense of being overwhelmed for most people when they first get on? I felt at home immediately, but I'm used to social networks. Thank you, Aaron. That's a really great question. Do people get overwhelmed? Anytime there's something new and it's unfamiliar, yes, it can cause overwhelm. The thing is taking it bit by bit, little bit by little bit, not trying to jump in and take it all on. Taking time to watch the Google Plus videos on YouTube is really a great thing to do, because that way you can get sort of a basis of what Google Plus is all about. So I always try to refer people to watch those videos before getting on Google Plus. They're really great training videos on YouTube that teach you about the basics of Google Plus and tell you how to set up your profile and how to optimize your efforts on Google Plus. So that was a really great question.
Yeah,
really great question.
I'll add to that with I know especially in the early days of Google Plus, everyone, when they open up a public Hangout, somebody else would come in and say, hey, how do you do this and that? And 90% of the time, if somebody's hosting a public Hangout, they kind of know Google Plus and they'll point you in the right direction. So use it as a community in a way if you're comfortable with that. But I think you're totally right. Their training kind of videos online are really, really good for that. And managing your circles helps a lot, especially with getting too much stuff in your stream or not enough. I know that that latest thing they have with the slider for how much each circle shows up, I love that. I love that. Yeah. So thumbs up to Google. 2 thumbs up for that one. We appreciate that.
2 thumbs. 8 fingers, Yeah. Woo! Happy dance.
But that's such an interesting. I thought it was interesting they went that route instead of Facebook's route, where you just don't see people all of a sudden. It's like I like this because I get a little more hands-on choice.
I think it boils down to the control. Facebook wants to control a lot of what you do on Facebook. Google Plus just letting it all hang out, They're letting you take control over it. And I think that's the biggest difference between Facebook and Google Plus. Google Plus wants you to be involved with the whole process. Tell us what you're wanting. Tell us what you need. A lot of the changes that are in place now were not in place when it first started. And the changes they've made over the past few months have really improved the infrastructure of Google Plus. I can't say that about Facebook because, the number of people who are leaving it, and I think one of the comments, Facebook is too volatile, was made by Timur Omar Rashid. And then Aaron, again, he made a comment that Google Plus won't be in anything killer. I think it will attract a certain crowd as it does now, but slow and steady. And I can't stand Facebook. Left it after a week. I'm fairly certain I'm not an exception. Now, there are people who have on their Facebook profile a picture saying, I've left Facebook, or I'm over, find me over on Google Plus,
Yep. And it's funny, I did that for a while, and then my latest job, I have to manage the Facebook page quite a bit, so I started getting back into it because they wanted, Facebook presence, and I was like, oh, darn it, I got to go back to that, you know. But anyway, I've had to get myself into it a little bit, but I thought there was, let's see here, we got some questions going on you, and most of them are on your stream. I have some comments on mine, but not as many questions. The Timur Omar Rashad, he just asked another one a while back that we kind of touched on, but what's the main advantage of Pinterest? So Pinterest is a really hot topic right now, so let's talk about Pinterest. I know we could talk about Google Plus all day too, but you know, have you been you said you've been using it some, right?
Yes, I just got into it and started using it, and learning the things that work and don't work. There are really a lot of great articles online that can give you some tips on all the different things you can do to use Pinterest for your business. There's an article on Inc.com, and I'll share this real quick, that gives you 9 tips. And one of the first things that it says is you have to spend time. And then next it says keep it simple and connect your physical presence with your online presence. Those are the first 3 tips, and there are really others, but those 3 are true with any social media network.
Yeah.
Spend the time, keep it simple, and connect your physical presence with your online presence. Yeah. And if you can do that, that will help you be successful on Pinterest, or any network.
I totally agree with that. I think it's just a visual form of expression almost. I mean, you know, people are looking on social networks for self-actualization. You know, I'm sure you went over the hierarchy of needs in business school. You know about all that stuff probably more than I do. You know, people are looking to feel like this is them captured online. And so Pinterest is, you know, looking at it from a business standpoint, don't look at it like you're trying to push your product out there or you're trying to sell something. Look at it like, how can your customers self-actualize through your pins? You know, and that sounds very like, it sounds a little silly, but it's true in a base sense. So,
you know, I have people have been following me and connecting with me just because of my Google Plus pictures.
Yeah.
You know, I'm posting on there. I haven't posted all of them. I need to go back and do this. All the different Hangouts I get to participate in, where I get to meet all these different movie stars. And so, you know, real simple, when you put a picture on Pinterest, use keywords that you want to be found by for your business. So I've had people following my Google Plus board just because it has Google Plus in it. So I have 2 of them. I have 2 Google Plus boards, one for Hangouts in real life and one for Hangouts online.
Yeah, that's. I hadn't thought about SEO with Pinterest. And do you know anything? Have you gotten into that any? Have you read anything about that?
Yes, actually, there was. I'm trying to remember the article I read. One company showed statistics that they were driving more traffic to their website from Pinterest because of the way that the pictures they're posting and how they are incorporating their SEO or their keywords into what they're posting. I will have to find that article and reshare it. I shared it ages ago.
Yeah, I was going to say I saw something like that at one point, and I haven't gotten into it as much. And then now today, all I'm seeing are how people can get sued with Pinterest in my Google Plus stream. But
oh yes, most definitely, most definitely. I think with Pinterest, you just have to be very careful that you're not using copyrighted information or copyrighted pictures.
Right.
That's the biggest thing that you have to be careful of. And you have to be careful of copyrighted pictures anywhere on the internet. Yeah. So it's just not Pinterest. It's anywhere on the internet. So don't go out to Google and pull a picture from there and post it in your blog post. Right. And claim it as yours. No, don't do that.
Right. but it's interesting that like people people all over of any age actually don't really know that. I mean, you know, they don't equate, for better or for worse, they don't equate what you post online to what you would put in print. You know, like it's pretty obvious that I couldn't print my own little daily newspaper that had pictures I stole from people. But for some reason, it seems okay to do it online. And I think there's a big training that needs to happen there, or maybe the rules need to change. I don't know. That's another discussion entirely.
I think there was one more question I wanted to.
Okay. If you've got another question, we can do one more and then.
Yes, there was one more question from
cool.
Kate Shaw. She asked, what are some good ways to drive traffic to your Google Plus business page? Good question. If you do not have a Google Plus business page, I would highly suggest that you create one if you're trying to develop your presence online as a business owner. Because as you share and you connect with people, then you have a really great chance of branding yourself on Google Plus. You can drive traffic by when you share content on your business page, reshare it through your personal profile. You can like what other people post as your business page. So if you find an article that you really like and you want to make sure you get in on that with your business page, open the switch to your business page and go to the link and like it as your business page. Circle people and interact with them as your business page. The more you get your business page out there, the more that your number